Hello and welcome to the ScatterVolt channel, and today let me show you how to build the best $700 gaming PC in 2023. This is going to be one of my favorite PC builds of the year because at $700 you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck in terms of value, but not at the expense of PC part quality. So at $700 this should be a very well-rounded computer, which means not only can you do 1080p and 1440p gaming, but you can also do content creation for game recording and game streaming on this PC without having to spend over $1,000. So in today's PC build guide video, I'm going to show you the parts going inside of this PC, how to put it together step by step, how to install Windows, how to set up graphics card drivers, and then the gaming performance possible on this PC, and then finishing out with my final thoughts on this $700 PC build guide. So we're gonna get right into the build guide, but first I wanna let you know that all the parts I feature in this build guide can be found in the description below. And if you want the best prices possible, then I recommend shopping at your local Microcenter. All right, let's start with the processor, which once again, we are going with the i5-12400. This is a 6-core, 12-threaded CPU. One of the best CPUs you can get under $200 and very well rounded at that. So that's the CPU we're going with, which by the way, comes with its own CPU cooler that includes thermal paste. Then for our motherboard, we are going with the Asus Prime H6110E D4. This is $100. It's gonna be able to support the i5 we have in this build guide, but there is one slight downside to it. This motherboard has everything we need with the exception of a built-in Wi-Fi adapter, which is why I'm picking up this PCIe to M.2 Wi-Fi card from Microcenter for a cheap price as well. That way we can have Wi-Fi. Although if you are planning to connect this computer to a router through the means of an Ethernet cable, you don't need a Wi-Fi card. Anyways, if you open up the box, there's gonna be two handy things: a manual including everything you need to know about using this motherboard, and an I/O shield, which you will need later on. Ooh, and one more thing. There's this little baggie here. This is gonna be for our M.2 SSD, aka our main storage, when we eventually get to installing that. So keep all three of those things. You don't need this disk. Ooh, and then for our RAM, we are going with this Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro SL kit of RAM that clocks in at 3200 megahertz with a Castlane CF16. And here's the crazy part. This RAM retails for $55 right now on Microcenter. What the heck? All right, then next up for our storage, where we're gonna hold Windows in our games, we're gonna go with the Crucial P3 Plus. Now this is Crucial's budget M.2 NVMe SSD. I believe this is PCI Gen 4.0. Never mind, this is a PCI Gen 4.0 drive. Although it is very cheap, it unfortunately doesn't come with a built-in DRAM controller, which is reflected in its really awesome price tag of $36. Which, speaking of, if you wanted to get yourself a 1TB version of this SSD, I believe it retails for around $50 right now at Microcenter. So the deals for this sort of SSD are really, really good. Just again, it doesn't come with a DRAM controller, which isn't the end of the world considering how good of a value this SSD is right now. Again, PCI Gen 4.0, NVMe, it's gonna offer really high read and write speeds. So I definitely think it's worth looking at. Okay, so go ahead and unbox your processor. Go ahead and open up this latch and then open this up. You're gonna line up the triangle on the bottom left of the CPU with the triangle on the bottom left of the socket in order to put it in the correct orientation. Drop in the CPU gently, give it a little jiggle. That way it's in. Then press this down and the little tab here will go underneath the lever. This black piece should come off and there you go. This is how the CPU should look like in the socket. And next up, the RAM. This is so easy, you cannot mess it up. It'll only go in a certain way, which is going to be this way. We're gonna populate both of these slots. There we go. The next up, we're gonna put the M.2 SSD here into the motherboard, but we need to get the standoff for it first. So you remember that little baggie I talked about earlier? Go ahead and open that up. Let's go ahead and install the standoff by hand. Then here's one of the little screws we'll need to put the M.2 SSD onto it. So this will also only go in one way. There's this little notch you're gonna line up with the M.2 SSD, make sure that clicks in, and then using a Phillips head 1 screwdriver, since this is a smaller screw, attach that, put that in, and let's screw it in place. There we go. And now the last thing is the CPU cooler. Now it doesn't matter which way you put this, but do know that there is a cable hanging out from this, and I like to have this on the top of the motherboard. So there are these 4 holes here on the motherboard. Line up the 4 holes with the 4 pins from the CPU cooler and press these in one by one. Easy. Then right here, there are 2 fan headers. One of these is for a regular channel fan, or AKA a case fan, and one of these is for your CPU fan, which is on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put this in, and this should only go in one way. There you go. And if your motherboard looks like this, then now let's go ahead and put it inside the PC case. Okay, now let's go ahead and install the motherboard into the PC case, but before we do that, let me go and show you a few things you'll need. Open up the back side panel of the PC case you're gonna be using, and in here, there should be a manual. Turn this around, there should be this little packet right here. There we go. Which, speaking of, we're using the Zalman Z1 Iceberg. Micro ATX, $65, and it comes with 3 built-in fans. Ooh, right here where the hard drive would go is where all of these screws, cable ties, and other things we need to complete the PC build are. So no need to buy your own screws anywhere else. It'll all come in the PC case. First, I want you to count how many of these black screws are in the inside of the PC case. These are the standoffs that'll help connect the motherboard to the PC case without shortening it every time you turn on your computer. Right now, there are, I believe, 6 standoffs, and if we count the holes on the motherboard, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like we won't need to install any additional standoffs in order to put this inside the PC case. So with that, the last thing we need to do is install the I/O shield, this thing. So this is in your motherboard box, and note that there's a side with these pokey bits sticking out and a flat side. We want the side with the pokey bits sticking to the inside of the PC case and a flat side on the outside. So to install this, we're gonna go around here, line this up, and we're gonna wanna punch in the 4 corners, that way it makes contact with the PC case. Easy. Since we don't need to install any new standoffs, we can just drop in the motherboard into the PC case, line it up with the I/O shield. There we go. Then let's open up our baggie full of all the screws from earlier. Right here is our little baggie. Let's go ahead and open this up. And these here are the screws you're gonna use to install the motherboard inside the PC case. So now with your Phillips head screwdriver, let's go ahead and put these into the standoffs one by one. Although don't screw each of them in all the way completely. We want to do that at the end. Okay, now I have all the screws halfway in, and now let's go ahead and tighten each of these up one by one, and then going to the other side of the motherboard to tighten the other one, going to the other side like in a crisscross pattern. That way we put equal pressure on all sides of the motherboard. The last thing I want you to do is to hook up your little fan right here on the rear of the case to the channel fan header here. And let's put that like so. There we go. So for the power supply, I'm going with this 600 watt 80 plus bronze power supply from Zalman, that being their Gigamax power supply. This runs for about $50 right now on Amazon, and it's one of the best budget power supplies out there on the market. And I don't know why more people are looking into it. Anyways, comes with a power cable. This is what you'll use to connect the power supply to your wall outlet. And then here is the power supply with all of its cables. And then here is one more baggie that contains the screws you'll need to install the power supply into the PC case. So let's go ahead and grab those, and we'll save these zip ties for later. Okay, so to install the power supply into your PC case, it is really simple. So here's your power supply. There's one side with a fan, one side without a fan. You're gonna want the fan side facing down, and we'll bring this in right here. Then we're gonna line it up with these 4 holes on the back side of the PC case. We're gonna reuse the screws from earlier from the power supply box. Put these in one by one. All right, all 4 of these are firmly in. By the way, if you're wondering what this switch is here on the back of the power supply, that primes the PC for powering on. So for the moment, we'll leave it on the circle, but when we're ready to turn on for the first time, we'll switch it to the line. And with that done and out of the way, let me go ahead and start showing you what all of these cables here in the back do, because we're gonna need to eventually plug these in to the motherboard. So these are our front I/O cables, and this is gonna dictate like our USB connectors here on the top of the PC case if you want to plug in a flash drive, our audio jacks if you wanted to plug in a headset or a microphone, as well as the power button. And this right here are your power cables, which are quite a bit, but we only need like 3 of these. That being our motherboard power connector, this big guy right here. The other one being a PCIe power connector, as you can see right here. This is for our graphics card. And then the last one being our CPU power connector, this 4x4 connector. And the rest, we don't need. So first, let's go ahead and install the motherboard power connector. So you have a latch right here and a notch here. Line the 2 up. There we go. And make sure this makes a full connection to the motherboard. Make sure it's all the way in there. There you go. Next, we have our CPU power cable, our 4x4 connector. This will only go in one way. And again, there's a notch right here on the connector and a latch on the cable. Line the 2 up and make sure it's all the way in. Then lastly, here's our PCIe power cable. This is what will eventually plug into the graphics card, which we'll get to later. So for the moment, set it aside. So let's start with our USB 3.0 header. This big blue guy right here. There's a little notch here on the connector, and it's gonna line up with this little port on the USB 3.0 connector. It's gonna go in like this. There we go. Now let's go ahead and plug in the front I/O cables. And if you're confused at all for how to plug these into the motherboard, you can find that out on the motherboard manual on the page shown here on screen. Otherwise, follow what I show here. So reset switch is gonna go on the bottom right with the pin on the right of it. Then next to that is gonna go the HDD LED on the bottom left. And then right above the HDD LED is gonna go the 2 power LEDs. And then on the final 2 pins on the top right side of the connector, there should be the power switch. There we go. One other cool thing I wanna show you guys is that this case does come with a BIOS speaker, which is really handy. It's gonna let you know if there's any issues with your computer if you turn it on and it decides not to work. So this actually goes right above the front I/O connector, just on these 4 remaining pins, and we'll put it in like that. Now let's go ahead and install our regular USB 2.0 connector into one of these 2 USB 2.0 ports on the motherboard. This will only go in a certain way. There you go. Then here's the HD audio connector. This is gonna go on the far left of the motherboard. And again, this will only go in a certain way. There you go. And you know these 2 case fans here in the front? Well, oddly enough, both of them are connected to a joint adapter, meaning you can run both of these fans off of one cable. So we're gonna put this final case fan cable on the remaining channel fan header right above our CPU cooler cable, like that. Real quick though, before we install the graphics card, if you needed Wi-Fi on this computer, then it's time to install the Wi-Fi card, which we got this basic one from Microcenter. There it is. And if we open the box further, here is the antenna that comes with it. So let's set that aside. And remember, use the screws that we last used for the power supply for installing this into the PC case. You can find those in the baggie with all the rest of the screws. We're gonna put it in this bottom slot right here. So let's break off this bottom tab. And now let's put this here at the very bottom. And let's screw that in. And then let's go ahead and install the antenna. Which, by the way, again, if you're gonna use an Ethernet connection, so a wired connection from this computer, from say this Ethernet jack here, straight to your router, you won't need a Wi-Fi adapter. There we go. Okay, and we arrived to the final part of this PC tutorial, that being installing the graphics card, which I've chosen the Intel Arc A750, or specifically this Challenger Edition card from ASRock. Now this is the graphics card that in theory should let you do anything you want to do. 1080p gaming, it can do it in spades. 1440p gaming, it can do that too. Content creation, well guess what? This graphics card comes with the AV1 encoder and decoder. That is the next step in terms of game recording and game streaming that is soon going to be featured on Twitch and YouTube and hopefully many other streaming websites, but you can take advantage of right now for game recording on programs like OBS. There we go. Anyways, you can buy this from your local Microcenter for $250 or $250 online, which once again, links to that will be in the description. But before installing this graphics card, let's go ahead and remove the PCI cover slot, or the PCI cover. Now let's go ahead and make room for it inside the PC case by taking out the PCI tabs that it's populating, which are these 2 ones here on the top. Just gonna wanna bend these off. Now go ahead and line up this PCI slot with the one on the top of the motherboard. Bring this in, line it up as best you can. And when it makes connection, give it a firm press into the motherboard. And you should hear an audible click. You guys remember those case screws we use for the power supply? Well, you can find those same screws in that big baggie of screws that came with the Zalman Z1. And we'll go ahead and use these to screw in the graphics card into the PC case. We're gonna close this up and we're gonna take care of these one by one. Then for the final thing we're gonna do, we're gonna plug in 2 of these PCIe power connectors into the graphics card. These will only go in one way. And there you have it. All right, so with the computer fully built, let's go ahead and boot it up for the first time. So the last thing you'll need is an 8GB or bigger flash drive for your Windows bootable media device. Now, if you don't know how to make one of these, I already have a dedicated video tutorial linked in the description and as a card on screen that you can click and quickly watch. It doesn't take much to create one of these. So let's go ahead and plug this into one of the USB ports on the PC. And with that, let's go ahead and run through our pre-boot checklist. So make sure you have a keyboard and mouse hooked up to your PC. Make sure you have a power cable running from the power supply to your wall outlet, which is the one that we found from the power supply box, and flick the switch from the O to the line because we're ready to power on the computer officially. Then of course, don't forget to plug in a DisplayPort cable or an HDMI cable from the graphics card to the monitor, not from where the motherboard is. Do it from where the ARC A750 is. Then of course, make sure you have monitor power running to your monitor. And now let's go ahead and boot up the computer. Oh, okay, there we go. And there should be a little circle right here in a few moments. There you have it. All right, let's go ahead and install Windows. Okay, let's go ahead and install Windows. So after clicking install now, here's where you can enter your Windows product key if you have one. But for the moment, I'm gonna select that I don't have a product key. Now this is Windows 11 that we're dealing with, and I'm gonna go ahead and choose Windows 11 Home. Doesn't matter if it's Home or Pro, accept terms and conditions, custom install. There is our crucial P3 Plus, hit next. And now we wait and we'll enter some more Windows 11 stuff. Okay, so after waiting for a little while, you'll go ahead and reach this screen. So choose your country, choose the right keyboard layout for you. Oop, don't need a second one. Here's where you're gonna go ahead and connect to your internet. So if you're installing Windows 11, this is required, but if you're installing Windows 10, you don't need to perform any of this Wi-Fi connection stuff. So again, make sure you have a Wi-Fi connection or an Ethernet connection straight to your router from the PC. So here you can name your device. I'll go ahead and skip it. Now we have to go ahead and sign in with our Microsoft account. So if you don't have one, go ahead and create one. Otherwise, if you already have one, go ahead and sign in. If you're given an option like this to restore, ignore it, click view more options, set up as a new device. Now let's go ahead and create a PIN, aka our login. I like to do ASDF. Now for all these privacy settings, I turn them off. I don't need any of these customizations. I don't need to set up Android. Don't need that. Don't need Microsoft. Don't need that. All right, now we're here at the Windows 11 home screen. Now we are given this notification to install Armoury Crate, which is something that comes with all ASUS motherboards. It kind of goes ahead and just bundles in all the utilities and software you'll need to properly update and run your motherboard. I'm actually gonna hit yes for this. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna hit yes. And while that's installing, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to install graphics card drivers. So since we're using the Intel Arc A750, let's go ahead and type in Arc A750 drivers into whatever search engine you want to use. Then let's click on the support for Intel Arc A750 graphics link. Then go here to drivers and software. Pretty self-explanatory. Latest drivers and software for Windows 11. Now we're given 2 different versions, a beta version of the drivers and an official release. If I were you, I'd stick it to the official release because that'll be more stable. The beta is exactly what it sounds like. Anyways, we'll go ahead and click download and wait for this to open up. So after a bit, this should pop up on your screen. Let's hit yes. And speaking of, that Armoury Crate thing did finally finish, so let's go ahead and reopen that app. So then here, if we go to tools and we click on drivers, here we can see the latest Intel chipset driver and other useful tools you might want to install onto this computer. For instance, we don't have chipset drivers, and here's the latest version. So let's go ahead and download and install those. And while that's running, here is our Intel graphics driver installer. Let's go ahead and begin. I agree. Start. There we go. There we go. Installation complete. We'll go ahead and hit reboot now later. We will need to restart this computer, but for the moment, let me go ahead and launch Intel Arc Control. So here is our graphics card software. Here we can go ahead and record and broadcast games to whatever we want. For instance, here on the Arc A750, we do have access to the AV1 encoder and decoder, so we can take advantage of that next generation game recorder that allows for maximum quality with low file sizes. So with our graphics card drivers done, we're just gonna wait for our chipset and other utilities to finish up installing onto this PC, and once that's done, I want you to restart your computer and spam either the F2 or delete key on your keyboard. Okay, and now we have all of the utilities and drivers we need for this PC through Armory Crate and with Intel Arc software completed. So now let's go ahead and finally restart the computer and enter the BIOS for one final thing. All right, we're gonna spam the F2 key on our keyboard. We are here in the BIOS, and the final thing I want you to do is to enable the XMP profile for your RAM. And just to double check, it's recommended that resizable bar is on for our Arc A750 for maximum performance. So make sure resizable bar is on as well. So let's go ahead and hit save and exit. And there's our XMP profile changes and enabling resizable bar. And with that, you are done and ready to get to gaming. All right, let's start off with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on Warzone 2.0. We are running the game at 1440p, right there, no joke. We're running at balanced settings, and we have Intel XESS turned on, which is like DLSS or FSR for Intel graphics cards. And we're recording and playing at the same time through using the Intel software, using the AV1 encoder. Now, you don't have to use the Intel software. You can use OBS or Streamlabs, I believe. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to keep it to the built-in software. FPS meter is on the top left. If you like what you see, great. And remember, we're playing at 1440p on a $700 gaming PC. Keep that in mind going forward. Oh, hey, by the way, see all those sliders on the right? They're all maxed out. We're recording at maximum bitrate on everything. Oh, hey. Oh, 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 oh! Oh my god, I'm gonna die, aren't I? Bro, they just came out of nowhere. Let me apply some armor first, please. Anyways, we're getting a constant 75 frames per second at 1440p. Ooh, ooh. You know, I might try lowering the resolution in a second, straight up. See how high the frame rate is there. Actually, no, in fact, let's take an opportunity to quickly do that. Okay, we're back here at 1080p with Intel XESS. Ooh, where did everything go? Guys, I don't think the frame rate changed at all, going from 1080p to 1440p. Let me check something. Graphics, 1080p, quality, balance, Intel XESS. We have it still on quality. Interesting, the frame rate did not change much, going from 1080p to 1440p. Oh, brilliant. Do you have grenades? Where are the baddies at? Are they all dead? Okay, I'll take that. And with that, let's move on to the next game. Here we have Forza Horizon 5 next up. I'm running everything on the game pretty much maxed out, again at 1440p, and I am playing and recording at the same time. Now, last time I played this game on the $800 PC, the game somehow crashed, which that time that PC was using an RS 6600, so I don't know what's up with that. But let's see how this Intel Arc A750 handles running, recording, and playing the game at the same time. Anyways, game looks great. Got no issues with it. We're getting about 70 frames per second. Again, if we bump it down to 1080p, we'll probably get a lot more FPS, but I'm here to prove a point. You can do 1440p gaming on a $700 gaming PC. All right, I could definitely get P1 by the end of lap 2, as long as yep, we did it. Oh yeah, oh, we got the slide. On dirt, we're quick. On dirt, we're quick. We're gonna chunk it. Oh yeah. You know what? Let's close out this lap, and I'm fine with this. Game is running smooth. We're getting 80 frames per second. Again, we got everything dialed up to max at 1440p, and I've not gotten any noticeable frame drops. And we're just above 79 frames per second. All right. The game runs great. I got no issues with it. Let's move on to the next one. All right, we're here on Halo Infinite, and this one's important because we're running the game at high settings, 1440p. And if that rings a bell, that's because I ran this game, that exact same graphics setting, on my $800 gaming PC build, which had the exact same specs as this one, but it has a Radeon RX 6600, and this has an Intel Arc A750. So if this can outperform my $800 gaming PC with that different graphics card, that's gonna mean a lot. So I got about 60 frames per second at 1440p. Right now we're getting a little bit better than that. Yeah, a little bit better. If we could touch 70, that'd be great. Oh, just screw it. I'll get the sniper. It's mine now. Oh, and by the way, I love this game. Oh my. Oh, they're taking our flag and I just got screwed. I thought that was a headshot too. Like it was set in stone. Y'all. Oh my god, I suck. Whoa! Come on, die. I reloaded right in front of them. I reloaded right in front of them. Oh! That was a nice death. Oh. Now it. Nah. Alright, boys, that's it. Move on to the next game. Alright, next up we have E for Speed Unbound, and we're playing the game at 1440p at medium settings. So, real quick, let me show you those. Settings, graphics, 1440p, vertical sync is off, AMD FSR 2.0, and medium graphics. So you know what? Let's push up the sharpening. Why not? Again, we're playing at 1440p. Imagine what we could get at 1080p. FPS meter is on the top left. The goal is about 70-ish frames per second. But hey, this is a playable experience so far. And again, this is all on the Intel Arc A750. And yes, it can take advantage of AMD FSR. Bro, shut up. You're driving a car. It's easy. Oh! Yo, that isn't right. Cars can't do that. Alright, come on. Get these dumb cops out of the way. I need a win. We're down in P5. Bruh, let me just cut the grass. Because there's no such thing as track limits in this game. And see you later, bozo. Is this even a racing game right now? Like, all I'm doing is just pressing the right trigger. That doesn't happen in racing games. There shouldn't be cars like that on the track, bruh. That's a danger. There's no cornering in this game, but there's traffic in the way, and it's dumb. Forza and Gran Turismo instead of Forza better. Anyways, though, frame rate was really good. Experience was good. Frame times were good. I got no complaints. Let's move on to the next game. All right, we are back once again in Apex Legends. I like running this game because it's very well optimized. I can tell if a computer is trash or not when it comes to its performance. I'm choosing to run the game at completely maxed out settings, 1440p. That said though, you know what? I'm gonna lower the settings. Let's go low, high, medium, low, medium, disabled, medium. We'll keep anti-traffic filtering at 16x. We'll go very high, even though we have 8 gigs to play with. And let's see what the frame rate is now. 106, 124, 128. Okay, this is a little more in line. Still, the game looks great though. What I want to see though is if I can beat my record of 92 hits here at the firing range. Once again, frame rate meter. Wait, was that motion blur? Whoa. Ragdoll slow. Effects low. Model high. Why not? Sprint shake minimal. All right, whatever. All right. Oh, look at that. We gained a few more FPS. All right, let's see if I can beat my personal PB on this $700 gaming PC, recording and playing the game at 1440p. Ah, shoot. Oh, we're slowing down. Nope. Make it easy for me. Okay, 84. That was a little bit trash, but the frame rate was excellent, and that's all that matters. You can run this game at a very high frame rate at 1440p. So before we get into the worst PC game ever made. I want to show you guys the file sizes right now for the recordings I've gotten. So you can tell these are AV1 files because Windows doesn't recognize them because the AV1 codec is still fairly new. But so far, out of all of this gameplay, we have recorded about 3.5 gigabytes worth of footage. Now, just for reference, this usually would be about 20 gigabytes worth of footage if I were recording at similar bit rates with Shadowplay or AMD ReLive. So I think my editor is really gonna enjoy the file sizes because he's not gonna have to download much, yet the video quality is still gonna be really outstanding. So with that, let's finish out with Fortnite. Now I know what you may be asking, why are you running Fortnite on performance mode on a $700 gaming PC at 1440p? Well, apparently, according to the Fortnite community, all you guys care about is frame rate. So that's exactly what I'm gonna show. Right now we're getting about 260 frames per second in the lobby. Is that good enough for you? Like, bro, I don't know, Fortnite players are disgusting. They need to grow up, so I got no shame in running this game on performance mode. Because again, all you guys care about is frame rate. All right, Battle Bus, get going. All right, you know, frame rate not the best right now, but that's always been the case when you load into the Fortnite map. Oh yeah, did I mention I'm running and playing the game? Not running and playing. I'm recording and playing the game at the same time at 1440p using the Intel Arc software. Not gonna lie, frame times are a little bit janky. There's a little bit of frame stuttering, a tiny bit of frame stuttering right now. Although I'm gonna put the whole blame for that on the game and not the graphics card. I don't know, Fortnite players, they deserve to play games at their lowest graphics settings for the rest of eternity if you play this game on a regular basis, honestly. You deserve to have one of the poorest gaming experience because this game is disgusting, man. It's ruined everything. It's had to battle royale everything because of how successful this game has been. Oh! Look, when you talk smack, it gives you good guns. Who knew? Who knew? Yo, let's get that drop, fam. Yo, let's get the drop. Yo, I got the sniper, screw you. That was not good. You know what, screw you though, screw this game. And he took my car! I just got mugged in Fortnite, bruh. I thought this was a game for kids, man. What the hell? Oh! I got a kill, let's go. You know, I'll take this. Oh! No, 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 no! Oh, heyo, heyo. Oh, you thought! Oh, oh. That was confusing for a second. Woo! Hey, dog. Oh! Kid, fight me like a real man. Let's go! I'm actually cooking right now in Fortnite. Wait a minute. Whoa! I did not suck that game. Let's go. Purple gun. So I predicted this at the start of the video, but this is definitely my favorite PC build of the year so far. At $700, this is such a complete package without overblowing your budget. That 6-core 12-threaded i5 paired with the A750 in coordination again with 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Really inexpensive storage. I mean, there's a 500 gig M.2 SSD in here you can get for 35 bucks, that being the Crucial P3 Plus, but you can get the 1 terabyte model for only $15 more. That is a ton of storage for your buck. And everything else, including the Zalman Z1, which comes with 3 included fans, micro ATX, some decent ventilation, and it looks like it can support some longer graphics cards in the future. This is a really well-rounded gaming computer. And the performance is there to back it up too. I didn't have any unpleasant experiences while I was playing with the Arc A750. On all the games I ran, it was pretty much smooth sailing. Fortnite had a few frame drops, a few here and there, but I'm gonna blame it on the game and not on the graphics card because everything else was really smooth and performed well. And I think in terms of performance, this might be faster than the $800 gaming PC build, which has nearly the same specifications, but it has the RX 6600 from AMD versus the A750 from Intel. In fact, the only glitchiness and weirdness I had with the Arc A750 was with the driver software itself. when I was recording back and forth between the games, after a little bit, the screen just went black there for the ARC software to where like I couldn't access it. Like I had to tab in and out to see it again. And I don't think recordings were saving properly. So I had to restart my computer. Then it started working fine again. But that had to be the only odd experience I had with the A750. The actual gaming was superb. For the money, this can do 1440p gaming pretty fine, which leads me to believe that 1080p is not going to be an issue at all on this gaming PC. And to back that up too, this can do content creation. As you saw, everything I was playing on screen was also being recorded inside the PC with the Intel Arc software using the AV1 encoder. And if you're curious, the total file sizes, after playing through 6 different games and 1 full match of Fortnite and 1 near full match of Halo, came out to 6 gigabytes of total footage at 1440p. At about a bitrate of 24 megabytes per second. Usually it's about 20 gigabytes or more that I send to my editor for these videos if I were, say, recording in Relive or Shadowplay. So that's seriously impressive. And again, you don't have to use the Intel Arc software. You can use OBS because that also supports the AV1 encoder for Intel Arc graphics cards. So all in all, this is my new favorite gaming PC build so far for the year with what could be my favorite new graphics card right now. I think it is a better value than the Radeon RX 6600 for the same price, just for the content creation alone, and I think the slightly better performance. Which makes me really hope that the Intel Arc A770 goes down in price to $300, because that would be so OP. I'll totally make another build guide with that graphics card. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this build video, and once again, links to all the parts I featured in this video can be found in the description below, and if you want the best prices, check out your local Microcenter. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and this is the ScatterVolt channel, signing out.